Warrior Two pose, we're going to take more of that exaggerated stance. Now, when I first come across this posture many years ago, my teachers actually taught it with a much narrower stance, very similar to how I often practice and teach triangle pose and pyramid pose. I have moved to something that I found many years later in more of the dynamic contemporary vinyasa classes, simply because I feel I get more benefit from it. And that's the one that I'm going to share with you today. But just recognize that if it's too physically demanding, both for strength and flexibility, we have the potential to shorten the stance, absolutely. So from here, if you imagine there's a chalk line drawn down the center of your mat, and we're going to line up your right heel along that line and your left heel along that line. And then as we travel forwards into the right knee, things that we keep tuned into for all our standing postures, the toes, the heels, and the soles of the feet. So if our toes are all mangled and our inner arches are collapsing, that's going to influence everything that's above it. So if we stretch the toes open and grip the mat, press into the heel and the outer rims of the feet, so we lift the inner arches of the feet, and then the right knee can travel to sit over the right ankle. In doing so, we strengthen the left thigh, and then hands come up, shoulders relax. Now here, there's a really important point, and it's something we've touched on in other videos, squaring the hips up. You will often hear that when we're in postures such as Warrior Two, teachers will ask you to square the hips up with the top of the mat. Let's just see what happens when we do that. Come back into the posture. Hands either side of the hips like this. Have the fingers facing forward, so that's giving direction of the hips. Okay, they're not square or parallel to the side of the mat, so let's do it. Twist them to the mat. Look down at your right knee. Right knee's wandered inside the big toe. So let's come back. Do it again. Knee wanders inside the big toe. And that's because our hips can't square up in these postures. Our anatomy doesn't allow that. Now, maybe there are some outliers with different anatomical structures, and they can get into this, but they are outliers. That's not the norm for anyone. It's our bone structure, not our flexibility, not our strength, that is going to limit our capacity to square the hips up, and it is definitely not needed. Instead, what we want to do, come back into the posture. Notice that your hips will follow the natural line of your left leg, so my toes are slightly turned in, as is my left knee, as are my hips. Perfect. Right knee stays with the ankle. Keep your hands with your hips for now. Let's not move at the hips. Let's keep the knee to the outside of the big toe, and your twists come from this waist region and are displayed in the heart. So hip stays still, but my heart twists. And in doing so, I'm creating a twist. My hips are going to the right, body's going to the left. Now, if you do that, you might be perceptive enough to feel the strength and muscle engagement across that left side of the body, which is what we want. So again, hips are not square, because they can't be, but we do maintain the twist. Comes from the waist. So as you maintain that, my heart is square, hands come up, shoulders relax down. Tendency is also to lean forwards. Try your best to keep your heart with your hips.